Welcome to Stories from the Heart, where we explore narratives that touch our souls. I'm your host, Robin, and today we're delving into a beautiful Indian tale of reconciliation called The Last Letter from the Hills. It's about the broken relationship between a father and daughter, and how forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds.
Hello, everyone. I'm Monica, a storyteller and cultural researcher specializing in South Asian family narratives. I've spent years collecting stories that showcase the complex dynamics within Indian families, particularly those that span generations and cultural transitions.
I'm thrilled to have you here, Monica. Your expertise is perfect for today's story. We'll be exploring this touching journey set in the misty hills of Landoor, following Mr. Rajan Mehra's path from isolation to healing.
Thank you, Robin. What makes the story so compelling is how it addresses universal themes through a distinctly Indian lens. The conflict between tradition and personal choice, the weight of pride, and ultimately, the redemptive power of forgiveness.
Today we'll journey from Devdar Cottage through heartbreak and reunion, exploring how memories can both haunt and heal. Are you ready to begin this emotional journey with us? Let's begin our story by exploring Devdar Cottage. Monica, can you paint a picture for our listeners of this forgotten path and the man who lived there?
Certainly, Robin. Devdar Cottage sits nestled among the misty hills of Landoor, where deodar trees sway in the mountain breeze. It's a humble home, but filled with character, much like its owner, Mr. Rajan Mehra, a retired Hindi teacher with a distinguished silver mustache.
And he lives there completely alone, doesn't he?
Yes, except for his old cat Chintu. Every evening, Rajan sits by his window with a brass cup of chai, watching the sunset. What makes this scene so poignant is knowing that drawer full of unopened letters, physical reminders of the broken relationship with his daughter, Sanjana.
I understand their relationship fractured over her choice of husband.
Exactly. It's a common conflict in traditional Indian families. Sanjana fell in love with someone from a different caste. When she chose love over tradition, Rajan's pride couldn't accept it. Their last words were painful. Him accusing her of disgracing the family, and her quiet response that he was breaking hers. Such a powerful moment that shaped years of silence that followed.
Monica, this letter from Nurse Kavita truly changes everything in our story. Can you help our listeners understand the impact of this moment?
This moment represents the breaking point in Rajan's isolation, Robin. After years of stubborn silence, imagine receiving news that your only child is dying. The letter becomes a bridge across that vast divide of pride he created.
And the urgency of the situation really forces his hand, doesn't it?
Exactly. What's beautiful here is how simple the nurse's language is. Mentioning how Sanjana keeps an empty chair for her father, how she remembers being called Gudia. These small details crack through his defenses. In many Indian households, reconciliation is rarely discussed directly. It often requires a catalyst like this.
What strikes me is his immediate response, packing his bag without hesitation.
Yes, after years of immobility, he finally moves. The journey itself becomes symbolic, physically leaving his isolated cottage and traveling toward reconciliation. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest step is simply deciding to take that first one toward healing.
Monica, the reunion between Rajan and Sanjana at the hospice feels so powerful. What makes this moment so impactful?
It's the simplicity. Robin, in just 2 words, Papa. And later, Gudia. Years of pain dissolve. In Indian culture, these terms of endearment carry immense emotional weight. They represent roles and relationships that transcend conflict.
I noticed he says, "I came too late. Forgive me." Such a profound admission from someone who held on to his pride for so long.
That's what makes it beautiful. In traditional Indian households, particularly of that generation, fathers rarely apologize directly to children. His humility in this moment shows complete transformation, But Sanjana's response is equally powerful. You came. That's enough. She offers unconditional forgiveness.
And then she passes away, holding his hand.
Yes, it's heartbreaking, yet healing. Their reconciliation may seem brief in time, but it's eternal in meaning. Her peaceful passing with him present provides closure that allows him to eventually transform his grief into storytelling, honoring her memory through connection with others.
Monica, I'm touched by how Rajan transforms his grief into something beautiful through storytelling. Can you talk about this healing process?
This part of the story really captures a beautiful cultural phenomenon, Robin. In many Indian households, storytelling is a form of healing, a way to process grief while creating connection. For Rajan, gathering neighborhood children and sharing tales becomes his pathway back to life.
And that phrase he says after each story. This one's for Sanju. It's so simple, yet powerful.
Exactly. He's found a way to keep her present. What's particularly moving is how his cottage transforms from a place of isolation to one of community. The very home that witnessed his loneliness now echoes with children's laughter. It's a beautiful metaphor for his heart's journey.
I find it interesting that he becomes Nanu Sir to these children, embracing the grandfather role he never got to experience with his own family.
That's the ultimate healing. He creates the family connection he lost, but in a new form. Stories become his bridge back to belonging, showing that even late life reconciliation can blossom into something beautiful and lasting.
Let's talk about how memories played a significant role in Rajan's healing journey. Monica, how did the monsoon become such a powerful symbol in this part of the story?
The monsoon in Indian culture represents renewal, Robin. For Rajan, those gentle rains became moments when memories of Sanjana felt closest. Like when he reminisced about the kite stuck in the jamun tree. These weren't painful memories anymore, but healing ones.
I'm struck by how his cottage transformed from a place of isolation to Gudia Gar, a learning home named after his pet name for Sanjana.
That's such a beautiful evolution. In many Indian households, spaces hold emotional significance. The same walls that witnessed his loneliness now nurture children's growth. And when Nandita, his granddaughter, arrives, it completes the circle of healing.
That letter he wrote but never sent was so touching.
Yes, because it shows reconciliation isn't just a moment, but a lifelong process. When he writes, I live each day to earn that forgiveness, we see how deeply he's transformed. His cottage became not just a home again, but a legacy that continues Sanjana's spirit through education and community.
What I find most beautiful about this story, Monica, is how Rajan's legacy extends far beyond his lifetime through Gudia Gar. Tell us about the significance of this transformation.
It's truly profound, Robin. In Indian culture, there's a beautiful concept called Sanmati, leaving something better than you found it. Rajan transforms his cottage from a place of isolation into a vibrant learning center that honors Sanjana's memory in the most meaningful way.
And Nandita's arrival completes this circle of healing, doesn't it?
Exactly. Meeting his granddaughter gives Rajan something precious. Continuity. She carries Sanjana's eyes, her passion for teaching. Through her, he gets to see how love continues across generations despite the years lost.
I'm touched by that simple lamp he lights at dusk. Such a small gesture with such deep meaning.
In many Indian homes, light represents presence. By continuing Sanjana's ritual, he's saying she's still here, still guiding this place. The cottage that once symbolized his rejection of her now stands as a monument to her spirit, teaching, nurturing, bringing people together.
This story has touched so many hearts. Monica, I'm curious. What happened to Devdar Cottage after Rajan's passing? Did his legacy continue?
It most certainly did, Robin. The beautiful thing about Gudia Ghar is how it became a living memorial. Nandita continued her grandfather's work, expanding the small learning center into a full-fledged school that serves children from surrounding villages.
So the path that was once forgotten became well-traveled.
Exactly. That winding path that symbolized Rajan's isolation now brings dozens of children daily. They still begin each morning with a story circle, just as he did. And that window, where he used to sit alone watching sunsets, it's now a reading nook where children gather.
What about his personal belongings? Those letters he never sent.
Nandita preserved them in a small museum section of the school. Those letters became teaching tools about reconciliation. The most touching tradition is how every new student plants a deodar sapling, creating a living forest of remembrance where once stood a lonely cottage.
What a journey we've been on today, following Rajan's path from isolation to healing. We've explored how pride can separate us from those we love most, but also how forgiveness can bridge even the widest gaps. Monica, what do you feel are the key messages listeners should take away from The Last Letter from the Hills?
This story reminds us that reconciliation doesn't have an expiration date, Robin. It's never too late to heal a relationship. I think what's beautiful about Rajan's journey is how forgiveness transformed not just his relationship with Sanjana's memory, but created ripples through an entire community with Gudiya Ghar.
I love how the story shows that healing isn't just a private experience. It can become a legacy that touches so many lives.
Exactly. In Indian culture, we have a saying, Jahan maafi wahan mukti, where there is forgiveness, there is freedom. Rajan found that freedom, and through it, created something beautiful that outlived him.
Before we wrap up, I ask all my guests this simple question. What story from your own life has taught you the most about forgiveness?
My grandmother once told me that holding grudges is like carrying stones in your pocket. Only you feel the weight. That wisdom has guided me through many difficult moments of my own life.
Thank you for sharing this beautiful story with us today. Until next time, this is Stories from the Heart, reminding you that it's never too late to send that letter, make that call, or simply open your heart again.